Hi there and welcome back to NeeCAT. In the last video we have presented on the benefits of NeeCAT as a new digital learning platform for TKA. In this episode number 2 we focus on the practical use of the tool. Heiko Greichen, our medical head, is presenting you a guided tour on how to handle it. Hello Heiko and welcome back again.
Hello Gunther, and a warm welcome also from my side to all our users today. I'm happy to give you a guided tour through our platform, but maybe Gunther, you start with some practical tips on how to start a NeeCAT.
After you have opened the course, a list of homework exercises appears. Depending on your experience level, different exercises will be displayed. In the middle, you find a status showing whether a particular case is already done or not. Further, you have a list of results. Green means you have passed the exercise in line with what the algorithm of NeeCAT has suggested as a solution. With orange, you still passed, but some values are not in line with what was expected, and with red, you have not reached the expected goal. For some exercises, you can reset the completed case. That gives the user the opportunity to try it repeatedly. However, some exercises can only be performed once, which is closer to a real patient situation. Let's start the first case. Maybe Heiko, you take over to guide us through that part of the journey.
So you press just on one field of the exercise, then it opens up, and it's always in the same order. It starts with a short patient briefing, as you see here, patient data, and all the informations on the knee, including also the cartilage. And here the task is defined by the implant, by the alignment strategy, and as you see here, there's quite a list. We have 11 different alignment strategies integrated into that tool. This time we start with a mechanical alignment, tibia first, gap balanced approach, and our goal is to balance all gaps equal. After that, we can start the case by pressing the start button. And then first you have to check on slope. So if you press the button slope, for example, and change it to 5, you see automatically that here the flexion gap and the extension gap values are changing. But if I remember correctly, we should have placed it in 3 degrees of slope. So just go back to 3. Second step is always check for varus valgus cut. It's mechanical alignment workflow. It's a 0 cut, nothing to change here per definition. And then lastly, we have to decide how much bone we want to resect. So here you look at the extension gap sizes. 14.5 on the lateral side, that is quite a large extension gap. So we should minimize that cut because it's a lax knee. So we reduce it to around 7 millimeters. So now we are around 12, and we reduce it a bit further to 6. So 11 is normally in a varus knee on the lateral side the number you want to be in the range of, and in the valgus knees it is then the medial extension gap size. So now all the parameters for the tibias are set, and we can press continue.
What is next after tibia?
Next step in that workflow is the soft tissue release. So again, we have a list of different options, and as we are in a varus knee and also the extension gap laterally is larger than on the medial side, we should go for release on the medial side. So we have different options there, starting with minimal releases up to very huge releases on the medial side. The difference here is 3 millimeters, so that is just a minor release, including the taking out the osteophytes, deep MCL, and the posterior capsule. And by that you see you balance your extension gap. You can press then continue.
Now comes the complex part, the femur. Can you please show your flow of decisions on the femur?
Yes, femur has a lot of decisions, so I think it is very important to have a standardized routine. Otherwise you miss maybe 1 or 2 decisions. So I always check first whether my extension gap is balanced. It is, so I don't have to change anything here in the varus valgus decision. Next thing is I want to have the exact size of my extension gap, and that depends on my distal femoral cut. And it's not always a 9 millimeter cut as it's shown here. You always have to look carefully on the cartilage loss. So we have a loss of 50%, so 1 millimeter is left. So we should reduce that cut from 9 millimeter to 8 millimeters. And by that you see, you also change, of course, your extension gap size. You don't change anything for the flexion gap with that. Now your extension gap is balanced and has the right size. Next thing is, for me, I balance my flexion gap. In this case, atypically, the medial flexion gap is a bit larger than the lateral one. So I have to reduce the external rotation from 3 to 2 degrees. And by that, the flexion gap is balanced. Now the last one is you want to balance the flexion gap size to the extension gap size. So that one is 4.7 millimeters larger. You have 3 options to change that. One is implant size, next is posterior shift, and the third one is anterior flexion. They have the same implication on the result, but they have different strategies. So if you just increase the size by 1, then you see that you add 4 millimeters on the posterior side. So it's almost done. The rest of that size difference you can adapt by increasing the flexion to around 4 degrees. Another option would have been we stay constant with the size, so we go back to 3, flex the femur more, and you flex over that anterior reference point. So you can flex it to 6. You have not reached a perfectly balanced knee, then you can shift it. But if you shift more than 1 millimeter, you get a warning here by the program, and it is warning you for anterior notching. So everything more than 1 millimeter is, I think, a little critical. So I think the right way in this case is no shift, increasing the size by 1, and placing the flexion to 4. So here we are. Now we have 4 almost perfectly balanced numbers. Everything is done. We just look for the cuts again. Everything looks good, and now you can press finish.
Thanks, Heiko. I think we have to end this video here. In episode 3 of this series, we will present on the fully automatic evaluation of the exercise, the feedback options, and on the learning concept of NECAT. If you are interested in NECAT, simply send us an email and we will get back to you shortly. So thanks for watching, and we hope we will see you soon in one of our courses.